Hello.
Okay.
Sorry, my accent is not Nigerian. I'm not Nigerian. I'm a Liberian. And I just admired all the speakers. It was quite interesting. However, I enjoyed the last speaker. I enjoy all one of you, but the last speaker, he looked younger than he is. And I enjoy his process philosophy. And I just wish he would give us more on the process aspect. Because today we live in a world where everybody is in a rush. And sometimes you know, as a foreigner, sometimes you just wonder, how can I get to these people? And how can I explain to them? But I just was appreciative for the aspect of process. Could you expand a little more? Thank you.
Okay, time would not permit us to go into too much details around everything, but this is what I preach around process. Yours is different from mine because our journeys are also different. Let me give an example. Yes, you may not be a Nigerian, but I'm sure you know what is happening in Nigeria around Japa syndrome right now. Everybody wants to leave Nigeria, and there is therefore a kind of bandwagon effect. Even if people don't have a purpose and a why, they just jump on that bandwagon effect. So process for me is fundamentally understanding first and foremost your purpose and your why. What you want to do, the journey you want to undertake, the next job you want to go into, they must all be driven by a fundamental why. Not because of all that is happening around you alone, but because you are being true to your core north, your own values, what you want out of life. Let me not kid you. I didn't have any vision boarding around what I wanted to become when I was in school. So I did HR for 23, 24 years, but that was not because I had always wanted to do HR. But life at times will give you something. It is what is in your hand that will be multiplied for you to get to your ultimate destination. But this is what I see. Many people have a little in their hands. But because they are looking at the other people with more than what they have, they want to be like them, and therefore they jettison their own process. It takes wisdom, it takes introspection, like she said. It takes sitting down to understand that you need to spend time in the future and not just carried away by the distractions of the moment. But it takes a lot. It takes goals, action, dreams, vision, managing change, like Wally said. It takes taking risks. Just yesterday, almost 12 midnight, I put on my WhatsApp status and I said, the road not traveled, how do you remind me? The road not traveled, the failure not experienced, there's one I'm missing, and therefore the success not suffered. If you stay safe, you will stay stagnant. So you've got to understand that if you do an ECG, or you get an ECG report right now, it will never be a straight line, right? But you know what tends to happen these days, because of the pressure of the things that we see immediately today, like you said, on social media, the pictures that people post are the pictures of their best moments. And we therefore compare our worst moments with what is seemingly their best moments. But behind every of those pictures, they have their worst moments. As a matter of fact, nobody posts their worst moments on Instagram. Anybody? When you are crying, when you've just been served breakfast, ladies will understand what I mean, or even guys, when you've just been served breakfast and you are crying, you don't put that on Instagram. But when you just got that job, when you are looking like Emmanuel Samuel right now, when you look like, that's what you post on Instagram. He's going to take a picture today and put it on Instagram, I'm sure. But nobody will know that before he got here, he probably jumped 3-4 buses, but they'll see this guy, fine boy, well put together, and then they want to follow his process. Your process is unique to you. Your process is unique to your journey. That's what I'm saying. And the fact that people have gone ahead of you, like she said, there are other people coming behind you as well. So process is long long-term strategic thinking about what we want to get out of life. But like I said, it's a long conversation, but those are the things that we just need to be sure of. Don't compare yourself. Process is, I am driven every time by process. But this is what I say, guys, in what you're doing right now, the successes you are achieving, the failures you are experiencing, the hiccups, all of that is leading you to purpose. Yes. If you stay in the moment and enjoy the journey, don't just focus on the destination, also enjoy the journey. It will always not be great, it will always not be palatable or pleasant, but ultimately, if Lola and Taiwo will tell you their full stories, you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed of the moments that they had and the moments that I had as well. The reason I'm sure you noticed I didn't allow them read my profile, because it won't show my failure process. At Stanbic IBTC, I was sacked as head of HR. He's not in that profile. I got to work one Monday morning and another head of HR had been recruited. And I was head of HR. So what I'm saying is that our processes are going to be different. But we've got to understand that life is not going to give us something today because we want it today. If more younger people will stay in the place of process, I promise you the pressure that we get on a daily basis will be reduced. Can I promise you something, guys? We are all going through seasons. One season will never, ever define you.
Thank you very much, sir. Can we have the questions in twos so that we're able to manage time more effectively? Please, you have 20 seconds to ask your question. You may go ahead.
Good afternoon. So yes, my question is, how will you move from a career, like someone that wants to move from a career to an entirely different career? Like this was not what the person wanted, and the person wants to move from this to another one. And another question is, how will the person start this new career at this very young age? Like, what are your plans? How do you do about it?
Okay. The next person, please. Okay, ma'am, you may go ahead.
So thanks for that question, and I'll share my story. So I recently clocked 20 years in consulting, but you must have heard that that's not where I started. I started as a media officer in Switzerland, so I was earning foreign exchange. Good role being single, but while it was a great job in a great system, I knew I wanted more. Moving back to Nigeria meant taking a 3,000% pay cut, but I have never looked back since. So the first question is, what is my why? So even though my first job was what I studied in university, and it was a good job, but I realized I wanted more because I felt problem solving came naturally to me. No 2 days being the same came naturally to me. So I had to go through that journey first of finding out, one, what was my why? If I was afraid of, people are going abroad, you are coming back, and I went through that. That wasn't a thing then, but I went through that. But it was very clear that if I had stayed there longer, I would not be able to contribute. So remember the presentation from Mr. Wale Smart, which talked about Ikigai? That point where what you love, what is your job, and what you contribute to the world connects is what you should look out for. It could be that frying akara is what comes to you naturally. But you must make sure that all the things that might draw you away from that journey are sorted so you can really, really go after it. The most important job to have is the one where your values and your purpose align, or rather where your job, where your job and your purpose or your values align. That's really the best career to go after. And as I said in my presentation, these days we expect to have about maybe 5 career transitions. So if you're on your first, that's fine. If you're on your 5th, that's fine. There is no competition because at the end of the day, as you heard already, the definition of success has to be individual. So what's your why? What do you enjoy doing? What is Ikigai to you? And then take it from there.
Thank you very much, ma'am. The next question.
Can I just add something? So I think that career change should not be seen from the young professional's perspective alone. So after 29, 30 years, I changed my career. I was sharing with Lola, I did 23, 25 years in HR, but what I've done in the last 2 years has been more 90% leadership. So I've made that transition as well. So my addition is that what you're doing right now, please don't focus on where you're going to the point where you're not doing today's job very well. You'll be surprised that it is the output from what you probably don't like, what you really don't enjoy, that might lead to referrals to what you like in the future. So for as long as you are there right now, do the best, give the best to the job, get the best out of it, but focus on your kigai, where you're going. And it's a matter of time. But please don't forget to be excellent in the things you're doing today.
Good afternoon, sirs and Maz, and my name is Olauni. I appreciate the speech you said today, and I took a lot of things from it. So I'll be talking about intrapreneurship. All right. So I'll use myself as an example. I'm an accountant, but during my years serving in the company, I realized they moved me to business development because the director realized that, okay, I'm outspoken, and he sees the relevance in me. But the truth of the matter is, when I got into that field, I was not feeling myself. To him, he felt I was good enough for that post. But at the end of the day, I was not good enough because I could not even, I could not successfully bring in a client into the company or maybe a business deal. So, what I want to ask is, now that I found myself in that post, and I'm not feeling myself, what should I do? Because my journey of life has been distracted. It's just like moving from a particular profession into a different field entirely. I've done some courses just to improve myself, but I'm still not fitting into that particular profession. But at the end of the day, they still move me back to account. I'm back to account again, but they've wasted my journey of life. I've spent like 8 years in that company.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you because that goes against what I believe in. So remember I said no experience is wasted.
Okay.
No experience is wasted.
Okay.
So they did not waste any part of your life. So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
By the time you are done with paid employment, which Nigeria says is 60 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're a great accountant, what do you think you will end up doing?
Or something.
Thank you very much. So that means you're going to start selling accounting services,
yes.
right? So what your employer did was give you a chance to test the future.
Okay.
And honestly, those of us who get to work in organizations that do that are the lucky ones.
Okay.
So if you listen to my paper, I talked about the fact that some of those things that appear seemingly useless, at the end of the day, come in handy. The skills I learned, having to now go and sort out the logistics that I thought was beneath me, I use those same set of skills today to do complex projects across complex geographies. Everything stacks up and adds up to something. You are even lucky that they gave you a chance to come back, because some people tell you, this is the job we have for you, so if you can't do it, please go. So you do owe that employer a deep sense of gratitude for allowing you try different things. But guess what? If you have done it and you realize that, look, this bid is still not for me, there is still the far side of your placenta is not buried there. You can go and do something else. But remember, as you answered yourself, when you leave paid employment, you will be selling accounting services. And the only way we would know how great you are is when you sell that you can do it. So you've got a chance to start early. So I think you owe them a sense of gratitude, not the other way around.
All right, thank you. Okay, so, sorry, because... Okay, so for example now, in the course of these years, I'm supposed to have done my ICANN and done other professional courses in accounting, but those times has been wasted.
Says
Mindset.
Says who? Mindset, exactly.
Okay.
So you see, it also has to do with mindsets, and I think a lot of people would have had some paradigm shifts today with all what we've heard. You can either look at the cup half full or half empty. If you feel those years are wasted, they would always be wasted. Now you want to do your ICANN, there is still time. You can still do it. And who knows, you might be in the ICANN class, maybe your lecture or your study class, and one of those experiences you had while you were in sales will be a flashback and a connect to your success. So have that shift.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Good afternoon, man. My name is Oluwatoyin. I have this question. You talked about someone announcing you first that you don't need to announce yourself. Well, in the case where you are not being announced, like over the years, and you know you are somewhat competent, like you know what you are doing and you are not being announced, should you wait or you announce yourself?
Okay, let me bring another perspective. And that perspective is the perspective of positioning. How are you positioning yourself? Even in the organization and within the society. And you position yourself from a place of value and that you want to offer or render help. So I'll give a simple example. Our organizations, okay, I'm in HR department. Let me use HR. I'm in audit. That's an enabling unit that is even far behind. And the company is saying that we want to have our policy police team. That is what I will check. Are people aligning with dressing? Are they coming to work on time? And they're asking employees to volunteer. Or your company is going through a change management process and they're looking for change champions for different enabling units and departments. And they say, who wants to come up? Go out there and do it. We're doing end of year party, volunteer. Thank God it's Friday. Town hall meetings, you are the first to be there. So people will be looking out for, she's always at every meeting. She's always punctual. Even at management meetings, departmental meetings, you're not a fly on the wall. You're contributing. So how you position yourself, your announcers will see you. Most of us position ourselves from a place of gossip. I know the ED. Oga, you just say that Taiwo did not come to work. She was wearing yellow and blue and black skirts. And even I heard the other ED say that. Let me give you a flip side. I've seen an ED call me and say, Taiwo, sack that guy. And I say, why? He said, he came to report my colleague to me. And I'm asking myself, he would do the same thing about me too. So we think we are giving them information. They will keep using you, but they will never position you or give you that value that you're looking for. So position yourself from a place of help and value to the organization. Thank you. Sorry, I like to break tables.
I just want to add quickly another perspective. Okay. Your work should actually announce you. That's the most important thing. So if what you're doing in that company is 70, just as an illustration, let it be that if you are not there that day to make that tea, everyone knows that the tea is different. So your work, so it doesn't have to be a person. When she said, look for something else to announce you, it's not a person. It's actually in the work you do.
Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma. My name is Felicia Osaru, and I'm a Learning and Development Officer. I have just 2 questions to ask. The first question is based on a human resource strategist. Okay, honestly speaking, I have to be honest here. The first time I heard of human resource strategist was in my dream. And how? Okay, during the talks, and one of the speakers said, can you speak about your values? And honestly, my mom, growing up, she trained us in the way of the Lord. So I believe anything I want to do, I must involve God. And I've always wanted to be in the HR space. So I remember praying one time, telling God, please order my step. And I had a dream, HR strategist. How? I don't understand. So I woke up, I went online, I did my research, but still, I don't really understand what HR strategies, what it entails. Although they said it's the highest peak of HR, and from my research, it said you have to come out from being team-centric to being company-centric. So I don't know, I need more clarity on that. And secondly, in the recruitment space, I was privileged to be in a place where they did recruitment for a social media technician. And I didn't ask any question because that was my first time. And I feel, even if you're recruiting, you should be honest with your question, not just ask for asking sake. So I kept quiet. I didn't say anything. So after the whole interview, I asked my boss, that's my line manager, that was it wrong for me, not saying anything. She said, well, I should have asked some question. I noticed she didn't ask the second person. Then I met someone else. I said, do you think I was wrong for keeping quiet? Because I had to ask people. And somebody said, sometimes you keeping quiet is a way of you observing how it's being done. So I don't know, is there a structured question for recruitment? Or I should ask questions based on what I see from the interviewees? Thank you.
Okay, so I want to talk to you personally. How many years experience do you have?
Honestly, I just started my career.
Okay, so even from the way you are talking, pressure tiwa. You are talking and acting pressured. And I'll just say chill. When you say HR strategies, there are 3 levels of HR. There's transactional. File, photocopy, do this. We have the operational, whereby you're moving to the COE, the Center of Excellence. I do recruitment, talent management, blah, blah, blah. And then we go to strategic HR. That's a peak. At that time, you have become a trusted advisor to the organization. And the company is leveraging, you're no longer proving a point that you're HR, the company just leveraging on your experience to get people things sorted. So it's step by step. It's a good title. You can go and put it down in your journal. Do you understand? But take things easy. Now, the question around, should I ask a question or should I ask a question? Off the hook, if you are invited to an interview panel, you're supposed to interview. So the minutest of questions you would have asked. And you know there's also time or costs to recruitment. So for everybody on that panel, it's a function of their monthly salary divided by their daily salary to hour. So for you not talking at that interview panel, you've not earned salary. I wouldn't have paid you. So you must ask questions. Yes, both perspectives shared with you are right, but professionally, you were told to be on a panel. You were supposed to ask questions. So what word are you taking away? Just chill. Well done.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma. I'm Adebowale Samuel by name. I'm happy to be here. It's a real privilege for me. Thank you very much, sir. I have 2 questions with me that I want to ask based on my past experience and the present one now. There is this belief that I do have based on scripture that says that if the foundations be destroyed, what can the righteous do? There's something concerning this entrepreneurship, especially when we want to start afresh. Because when I concluded my NYSC, the first place that I got, just like being a volunteer. Even though I was called to do some practice entrepreneurial skill, but it was like a place where I was not really supported because I was there trying to pull everything together, and I was able to achieve some things based on expansion of that company from Abuja then to Akure. But yet, I was not getting anything in return. But I realized that, okay, even though that was my past experience, what would I have done instead of just walking away from that establishment to maximize the opportunity I have? Instead of just walking away. Because while I was there, I was trying to make sure that everything was working, and being a fresh graduate, what I could do was just to make sure that the little savings I had and some other maybe sometimes when I call my boss was actually in Lagos then, I was in Abuja. So when I call him, sometimes it was promise to give funds, but it will not give. Sometimes it will just send a token. So whenever I go there and try to push, I notice
please move to the question. Can we have the question?
So the question now is what would I have done better instead of just walking away from that establishment?
So the first thing, when you use the word walk away, I don't know for a fact, right? But I get a sense you probably didn't leave, like do resignation and all of that. You probably just stopped going or something. So the first thing is, even though it's a job you are volunteering, there's actually a way to leave an organization. And it is both a physical thing and a spiritual thing, because goodwill follows you. So the fact that you took a job that was not deserving of your status at the time, you must still treat it like you would any other. Now, you may not have been getting a steady salary, even though I think it's a good idea to pay people because you have bills and all. But the fact that you were getting experience, it's still something. So I like to tell stories a lot. So I did one of those courses that they say is a Barbie washing course. So meaning there were many aspects to it. But because I wanted to be sure what it was I wanted to do in my life, each time school was on strike I will go and work somewhere. And I'll go there and say, oh, my name is this, I need a job. There was one of them from Surulere to Ikeja. Every day I went, never missed a job. They didn't even give me free lunch. Talk of transport. It was an advertising firm. But I am still in touch with the people who work in that firm today. I still use the skills I acquired from there. So we need to shift our mindset to what exactly it means to get something from work. Then let's talk about the auspices under which we're having this fantastic event. Most of the big-time musicians out there, think about it. When you listen to their history and their biographies, where did they start? Church. So most times, every Sunday, when we announce we need workers, you don't see people. Goodwill and grace follows people. So what could you have done differently? Is one, I think is important. I don't know for a fact that that's what you did. But when it's time to leave a place that you feel is beneath you, still leave well. Serve a notice. Thank the person. If you can, bring a replacement. They might not have paid you, but that prayer, that goodwill follows you. Then volunteer for anything that you think will add to you while you're waiting for that big job. And all those experiences, whether paid or not, put it on your CV because it adds up. So that's what I would say. And then let's not be entitled. Nobody really owes you a great experience. I'm sure if I ask everybody here, we have something we don't like about where we work. But if you get to that stage where it's no longer working, you say thank you very much, you leave well, and you keep it moving. So you shouldn't be walking away from anywhere. You should be resigning or moving on. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I also want to add that it is very important. Most of us come to the workplace with the value we carry. But you also need to understand what the organization requires from you. So that it's important that you serve the company based on their need. So for example, if I have a PhD and economic circumstances pushes me to an organization that is paying me or the work is less than my qualification or what my knowledge, I wouldn't be proving a point or stressing myself by wanting to go, don't get me wrong, the extra mile. For example, is an owner-married business, you're head of HR, let me bring it home, and you're advising the owner, so we need to do pension, we need to do thank God it's Friday. At that level of an OMB, is struggling for survival. What it requires from you is support. If the HR requirement is hire and fire, please do your hire and fire. And do it well while you look out for another job that matches what you have. Many of us are experiencing career stress or frustration because we carry a lot, but the organization is demanding less from us. So serve the company from the level of their needs. And then as you progress, you get that value you are requesting for.
Thanks. So my only addition would be to say that I see that there are many young professionals in the room or in the auditorium. In your younger years, you'll be confronted mostly with two options. Number one, money, and number two, experience. There is a huge temptation for us to go for the money. But can I just plead with you? When you have those options, as you grow in your career, go for the experience. Then no born money well. Make it not follow you later. I promise you.
Thank you very much, sir. Due to time constraint, we had just very few minutes for this question and answer session, so we might not be able to take the other questions now. Okay. Mrs. Taiwo has asked that we take two more. So please, a round of applause for Mrs. Taiwo. Okay, so let's have two questions. Thank you, ma'am. Very short, please, direct and really straight to the point.
All right, good afternoon, sirs. Good afternoon, ma'am. And thank you so much for taking out your time to teach us and also drive us back to learning. So my question is, I'm a human resource professional and I work 9 to 5. And one of the major things I always hear is network. And as a core, let me use the word core introvert, what would you advise? What would you advise one to do when it comes to networking? Thank you.
Okay, so I guess that's for me. So Taiwo has pleaded for 2 more questions. I'm going to plead for 2 more. Lola will probably plead for 2 more. We'll take everything, but we'll make it very short. Now, networking. Can I just say to you that it is not about your personality style. I am an introvert. people still don't believe. Right? I say it every time. People don't believe. But please, let it not stop you from networking. By stepping out now to ask your question, you've networked. Sincerely. But don't wait until big stages like this to network. Network with your colleague. Network at Old Girls Association. Network in the church. Network in the community. Don't wait for life to give you a big stage before you start networking.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, ma. My name is Miss Perpetua. I'm a poet, a spoken word artist, but I do not have a very good literature background. So most of the time when I finish presenting my poetry, I mostly get gigs. And there was a time I got offered a job in journalism, but I was scared because I don't have good literature background. And I studied medical physiology, so I work in the hospital. So first question is, which I guess you've answered, how do I switch to creative art without the fears? But secondly is, how do I get mentors to help me become more specific and have a good foundation? Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that. So the first thing is, who wrote the rules? You don't need a literary background to do journalism. If you read some of the newspapers, you realize that the people behind it, I don't even understand basic rules of grammar. But just standing there listening to you, you have a very interesting background, and there's a lot to tell people. So the only way you can get confidence is through practice. And there are free platforms where you can publish what you think. That way you get feedback, improvements, and all of that stuff. Now, around mentors, there is the erroneous thinking that a mentor has to be somebody who is alive in front of you or speaking. There are writers who you like how they write. Some of them are dead. Some of them are probably abroad. Follow them, study, see what you like, and build your own around it. The good thing about the age we live now is technology and digital has made it so easy. But most times, the only person standing in front of what you want is really yourself. So I think you should begin to celebrate all the gifts you have. Just introducing yourself, I am so inspired. And I can't wait to read from you.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma. My question is, when it comes to career and employment, I think the biggest problem we are having now is overage and qualification. Imagine somebody coming out from university after 4 years due to strike, or 4 to 6 years, and you are able to settle down in a company or a government parastatal. They will be asking you, you must be between ages of 18 to 21 or over. How can we balance that? It has been a phenomenon, yes.
So it's a Nigerian thing. And for those of us who are HR professionals or the core, particularly talent acquisition specialists, begin to deal with that, and let's break that myth. It is absolutely wrong. It's about the skill set. Though some organizations insist on a particular age to come on board. If not, many of us, people like us, won't get jobs. But thank God for grace. Without any working experience, let me break that myth around working experience. He's doing the video, you're the videographer, he's volunteering. That should go on his CV. That's work experience. Ushering. I'll say I did protocol services for so and so organization. It goes on my CV. You're an admin, you're in the WhatsApp group and you are the admin. It should go on your CV. So by the time you count it together, let me now break the table for you. I have a personal shopper, Wemimo. I don't go to Balogu Market like Lola. Once I chat Wemimo up, I send her my list. I need a set of pots, I need traveling box, blah, 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 blah. Wemimo goes to Balogu Market, and she buys them for me, shows me options, and gives me the market price, and charges me a premium, 5% of my total cost, and my items land in my house. I told Wemimo one day, put it in your CV, you're a procurement specialist. So when you say no work experience, have I changed our mindset around that? And finally, before I drop the microphone, we need to begin to do some things around communication. They're communication experts. And so things like, and those things, we need to stop them. Because the world has become global, and you need to be careful how you're communicating. When you put those things to the fore, you've locked out your audience automatically. I'm sorry I have to say this, but it's also very important. And we see this thing come into play. we see these things come to play during interviewing. Thank you.
Please look out for Toastmasters, and I would actually encourage, Emmanuel, maybe you should set up one here in the church for the youths as well, because it teaches you public speaking. And the truth is, even if your CV is great and you can't really speak or communicate, it can be a challenge. So I think that's probably a good project for you, the youth church, to actually look at setting up a Toastmasters chapter here. It would help people, it would expand the good work that you're doing.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Olubade Ezekiel, a digital marketer. So my question is, the other speaker was talking of branding, and he mentioned we should be scarce once in a while. So I want to ask, how do you balance being scarce and trying to create visibility while also trying to build a brand for yourself? Then, and my next question is also about not trying to put your achievements on social media. Now, in a state where you ask you're a job seeker, and especially on LinkedIn, where you try to put on your certifications so that in case recruiters are checking, they want to also know, okay, what has it done? So I want to know why it's wrong for us to put our achievements on social media, like your certification, and also trying to balance between being scarce and building a brand also.
All right, thanks. Let me quickly ask and get a chorus response from the audience. Did I say we shouldn't put our achievement on social media? What did I say? Don't misrepresent, don't say what you are not, and don't focus your attention on just being on social media. Let your value be represented on social media. Now, in terms of being scarce, I was just giving an analogy. Instead of going on social media every day, right? I'm saying pull back once in a while. That once in a while will allow you time for reflection of the things that you should do and what your market requires as well, and then you can go back refreshed. 7 habits of highly successful people. One of the habits is sharpen the saw. So the tools at times, don't overuse your tools to the point that they become blunt. Take time out, sharpen it, and then face the market again.
Also, I just wanted to add, in terms of being scarce, also very important. So there was a time I used to put out, for those who follow me on LinkedIn, my Tuesday post, every Tuesday. But in the last 1 year, because of my new role, I've actually dragged back. And I'm surprised, even as at yesterday, because of the demographics on LinkedIn, I got the report. You appeared in 1,904 searches this week. Who is looking for me? And I didn't put out any posts. So who is searching? It's about value. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma. So I'll be directing my question to Mr. YF. Actually, I'm a core member, currently serving Lagos State, and during my undergraduate days, I've been able to at least I involve myself in many research. So, and at the end of the day, I found out that I see the potential this research proceeds. So I see the potential that this research proceeds to the society, as in how it can help the society. And so it all started at, I now began to think of it that, why are we not going with these recommendations, and yet we are suffering for what we've made research upon? So actually, I'm sorry, I would like to just deviate a bit from this career and employability. I have an idea, and I'm here to gain insight. What if, actually I'm working on something currently, me and a guy. So I need an insight on how to start, at least create a narrative around research and development, and it will bring about value addition, product development, and process improvement. That's my question.
Okay, so I think it's multifaceted. There is no one size fits all. It's about research, right? You want to give visibility to your research output or outcomes, right? Now, you don't have to go public with it. Look for lateral platforms. When I say lateral, I mean platforms that talk strictly about what? Research. And put your posts or your comments or your articles, put them out there. Now, don't expect results next week if you start today, right? what you're doing right now, you probably think also that there is nobody's giving vent to the things you're doing, but don't let that discourage you. If from a purpose and why perspective you are convinced, continue to do it. Find relevant platforms to put out your research articles or your research outcomes. Somewhere, someday, somehow, one person, and that's what you need. Angel, you said. One angel will see it and will recommend you, and that's where it starts from. Keep at it. Don't stop.
All right. Good afternoon. As a fresh graduate, as a fresh graduate, you're applying for a job now that on the job description, they're stating is 2 years, at least 2 years experience, but yet you don't have any experience at all, and you are applying for the job with about 1,000 people now applying for the same position. How do you, like during the interview process, how do you answer such a question? Then also, you find yourself in an organization where the boss is kind of harsh, like is a harsh boss, and is someone that is not open to new ideas now. You're bringing in new ideas, or even like ideas that will make the organization move forward now. It's not open to such. All it's just after is just his money and just money. How do you like deal with such a kind of situation like that? Thank you.
So I think, I like the fact that you clarified what harsh means, because at the point I was confused. I see the person is very persistent. So what I would say to you is, and I think I mentioned it earlier on, there's always something to learn. And where you are at now, that job is doing something for you. So long as it's not abuse, meaning in this case you're not subjected to inhumane conditions, I think you should have a plan towards when you plan to move on. So you see the same way DST, well, let me not advertise for anybody. The same way cable companies have premium, little 2 channels and all. It's the same thing. Some jobs are what they are, starter packs. They are meant for you to go there, get the experience, you take it and you move on. But what you mustn't do is knee-jerk reaction and run away because, hey, I don't like it here. Every one of us in this room at some point has worked with a difficult person. But we have to be very mindful about what we're looking for, and you move on to where you'll be appreciated. Now, around your question of, I'm a fresh graduate and I only have 0 to 2 years, the job is 2 years. Now, the first question is, are you really sure you don't have experience? Because a lot of us were working when we were in school. So, for example, when I was in university, I was a member of ISEC. And so for those 4 years, I was learning business skills. So it was near impossible that my first CV would say I don't have experience. Now, my first job, WHO Switzerland, 180 of us applied for that job globally. I got the job, and I'm a Nigerian graduate. So let us not self-reject by thinking that your current circumstances will determine that certain things cannot happen. Grace is still sufficient for us, a good dose of positivity. Doing that vision board and being very clear about what you want. It's not today, it's not tomorrow, but just be clear about what you want so that you're very consistent in moving towards it. But I think one message I would leave with everyone is don't self-reject, because sometimes we do that a lot.
Do you have an addition to me? Okay. Okay, this would be the last question before we round off this session.
Good afternoon. My name is Fanny Sampson. So my question is that, like in a company or in an organization, so your boss or your manager give each and everyone a project, and your boss decided always picking you each and every time they give the project. But instead of the colleagues or the other people should ask what is the person doing that the boss always like picking him all the time, but instead of them, they start gossiping and giving attitude that anytime he comes to the office, they will just be giving him attitude. They will not talk to him till the full day. So in that situation, what can the person do?
Can I respond? Have you looked inwards? And then network with them, connect with them. Come from a point of service. Okay, so for some of us, we are so exceptional that people tend to want to be jealous of you.
Yeah.
Yes, some of us, it comes for us naturally. But what I've learned over time is to now develop an attitude of humility and go back and find a way of networking and connecting with them. And I will say an adage, it is easier to fight one person, but most difficult to fight a village. So you look inwards and say, what must I do with myself to make myself attractive to other people? It's only if you've tried all options and it's not working, then stay on your own. Just focus on your focus. That's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ma. Good afternoon. I want to ask a question that is it okay to be creative but not initiative at the moment? Why? Because sometimes you have some circumstances around you that makes you unable to, bring your creativity into reality. But you have a goal, maybe by 25 years old or 26. You think maybe if you should start a step at the age of 19, you'll be better by then. You'll be able to, make great impact by the age of 25th. But due to some circumstances at that moment, maybe you don't have a social support or financial support or other things that is unable to make you bring the creativity into reality. So is it like a waste of time, or I don't think do you get what I'm trying to say?
I get what you're saying. The first question I would ask you is, who sets these timelines?
Sorry?
Who sets the timelines? By the time I'm 19, by the time I'm 20?
Okay.
Pressure
It's like a personal goal.
Okay. So if it's your personal goal, and most times goals can shift, right? Goals can be adjusted. Now, the KFC we all eat and we know globally, all over the world, he was 65 years when he set up that business. He's been dead a long time. That business is still here. So imagine if he said at 65, he's too old to start a business. We won't have the benefit of KFC globally. So goals are meant to be adjusted. And that's because when you look at the dynamics around whether it's realistic, you sticking to it is putting yourself under pressure and giving yourself mental stress. So I would say, take it in installments. You want to do something now and you've looked at your resources and you see it's not there. It doesn't mean you throw it aside. You just ask yourself, what one more thing can I do to take me closer to that goal? And it's your goal, right? So it's not like someone set it for you. So every year it can feature on your vision board, but just that it would be the activities you need relating to accomplishing that goal that you put in there. But I think, let's not forget what we said earlier on, that pressure. Let's not put ourselves under pressure. Relax. That's why I'm not a fan of those magazines under this, under that, under that. Particularly a particular age. If you look at all the people that have gotten on that book, they're either in jail now or something. So let's stop chasing what other people say we should have done by a certain age.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, to round off this question and answers session, I have a question. So it's in line with Mrs. Lola's session where she said that entrepreneurship refers to the act of behaving like an entrepreneur while working within an organization. And I took this to mean that you're taking your job as your personal business. So that means you're putting your passion, you're putting all your resources, and you're doing the very best you can. However, in some cases, we see that some employers tend to overwork these sort of employees, because when they see that, okay, this person happens to do some certain things that's outside, his or her skill set. Okay, let's give it to him. Let's give it to him. He can do it. And then you perform excellently. However, there is no form of reward. But then you like what you're doing. So how do you navigate through this? How does one navigate through this?
So thanks for that great observation. I think what I'd want to leave behind is reward is not always financial. And sometimes the reward for that hard work you're doing is not even in that organization. So, and then one thing I think we all should do better, and it's not about whether you're senior or junior, is learn what boundaries are. Now, you are a very committed employee and they know you work, but they are giving you work and it's eating into time of midweek service. Someone like you, because you have been reliable and you've always done the work, you can actually have that conversation to say, you know what, part of that balance and where I get my strength from is that spiritual nurturing or that opportunity to fellowship. Now, you are likely to get your organization to work around your needs because you have shown that you're consistent and dependable. But not the same for somebody who 5 like this or 4:59, the person has already cleared up and is looking to run out. That's one scenario. Scenario 2, should the company now have a vacancy, and rather than go and get someone from outside, it is almost a given you will be encouraged to apply for it. Scenario 3, the company feels that, hi, we have outgrown this, or this lady has outgrown us, and they know of another opportunity that is happening. You will be put forward. So there can never be anything wrong being singled out as your employer as being dependable, reliable. If anything else, it is a sure-proof way to fail-proof your career.
Thank you,
I think my addition is to say that the emphasis on soft life is a lot these days. And let me leave you with the fact that soft life is an illusion. So when we say the reward for hard work is more work, yes, it is. Delayed gratification is a virtue. We don't have to get the reward today. The things that I learned at 300 years ago about, 1999 to 2002, now that I'm an entrepreneur, those are the things I'm living off at the moment. How to write a job arrangement letter. You tweak it, you adjust it, but the foundation was laid since that time. And when you were doing it, why do we have to do JAL again, all over again, and all that? It's because we are being prepared for the future. We all think that the future is now. The future is tomorrow. The future is 15 years or 20 years, but you've got to lay the foundation for that future and lay it well now. If they give you more work, be happy. There are millions out there who don't have a job.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Please, a round of applause as our speakers go to their seats.